The bass thumped through the walls of the old Victorian house, a pulse that shook the night and promised chaos. I stood on the porch, clutching a six-pack of craft beer, my breath visible in the chilly Oregon air. I was late, too late, for Marcus's 25th birthday party, and the guilt was already clawing at me. Elliot Jackson, that's me, 25, perpetually overthinking, and always 5 minutes behind life's schedule. I'd known Marcus since we were kids, tearing through Portland's streets on skateboards, dreaming of futures bigger than this sleepy town of Willow Creek. Tonight, I was supposed to be his wingman, his hype man, but work at the community center had kept me late, counseling teens who reminded me too much of my younger self. Lost, angry, searching. By the time I pulled up to Marcus's place, the party was in full swing, laughter and music spilling out like a fever dream. I knocked, but no one answered. The door was cracked open, so I slipped inside, expecting a sea of familiar faces. Instead, the living room was a mess of empty cups and half-eaten pizza, but eerily quiet. The crowd had moved to the backyard, their silhouettes dancing under string lights. I scanned for Marcus, my best friend, the guy who'd been there when my world fell apart after coming out at 18. No sign of him. My phone buzzed. His text, "Dude, where you at? Party's wild, but I'm stuck playing host." I winced. I'd let him down again. "Elliot?" A voice called, low and steady, cutting through the distant hum of the party. I turned to see Nathan Caldwell, Marcus's dad, leaning against the kitchen counter. At 42, Nathan was the kind of guy who carried himself with quiet confidence. Broad shoulders, flannel shirt rolled up to his elbows, salt and pepper hair catching the dim light. His green eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. "Hey, Mr. Caldwell," I said, trying to play it cool. "Sorry I'm late. Work ran over." He smirked, a half-smile that felt like it saw right through me. "You missed the cake, but there's still beer in the fridge. And call me Nathan. You're not a kid anymore." I laughed, awkward, and set my six-pack on the counter. "Yeah, well, feels like I'm still figuring that out." Nathan grabbed 2 beers, popping the caps with a bottle opener shaped like a trout. He handed me one, his fingers brushing mine for a split second, enough to send a jolt through me. I told myself it was nothing. This was Marcus's dad, for God's sake. But the way he looked at me, like he was really seeing me, made my chest tighten. "Marcus is out back, probably trying to impress that barista he's been chasing," Nathan said, leaning closer. "You don't seem like the party type tonight, though. Everything okay?" I shrugged, sipping the beer to avoid his gaze. "Just life. You know how it is." He nodded, his eyes softening. "I do. More than you think." There was a weight to his words, a story he wasn't telling. I wanted to ask, but the air between us felt fragile, like one wrong move would shatter it. The backyard door swung open, and Marcus stumbled in, his dreads bouncing as he laughed, a red cup in hand. "Elliot, man, you made it." He pulled me into a hug, oblivious to the tension I felt standing next to his dad. "Come on, you gotta meet this guy from the coffee shop. He's vibing." I glanced at Nathan, who raised an eyebrow, amused. "Go," he said. "Celebrate with the kids. I'll be here, cleaning up their mess." But as I followed Marcus outside, Nathan's voice lingered in my head, warm and steady. I didn't know it then, but that night, everything was about to change. The party was a blur of faces and music, but my mind kept drifting back to Nathan. I danced with Marcus and his friends, laughed at their stories, but every so often, I'd catch Nathan through the kitchen window, stacking plates or refilling the ice bucket. He moved with purpose, unbothered by the chaos around him. I wondered what his life was like outside of being Marcus's dad. Divorced, living alone in this big house, running his carpentry business. Did he ever feel as lost as I did? By midnight, the crowd started thinning. Marcus was deep in conversation with the barista, and I felt like a third wheel. I slipped back inside, where Nathan was wiping down the counter, a soft jazz playlist replacing the party's thumping bass. "Giving up already?" he asked, not looking up. I leaned against the fridge, watching him. "Not my scene tonight. Too much noise." He chuckled, setting the rag down. "You sound like me at your age. Always chasing quiet." "Really?" I asked, curious. "Thought you'd be the life of the party back then." He shook his head, a shadow crossing his face. "Nah, I was figuring myself out. Took me longer than most." He paused, then met my eyes. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life, Elliot?" The question hit me like a punch. I thought about my job, my routine, the way I hid parts of myself to fit in. "All the time," I admitted. "Like I'm waiting for the real me to show up." Nathan stepped closer, his voice low. "You're more real than you know. I see it. Marcus sees it. You just gotta let yourself believe it." My throat tightened. No one had ever said anything like that to me, not with that kind of conviction. I wanted to say something back, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I just stood there, caught in his gaze, the world outside fading away. The next morning, I woke up on Marcus's couch, my head pounding from one too many beers. The house was quiet, the party's aftermath scattered across the floor. I checked my phone. No messages from Marcus, but a sticky note on the coffee table read, "Gone to brunch with coffee shop guy. Catch you later. M." I groaned, rubbing my eyes. Then I heard footsteps, and Nathan appeared, holding a mug of coffee. "Rough night?" he asked, handing me a second mug. "You're a lifesaver," I said, taking it. The coffee was strong, just how I liked it. "Thanks for, last night. Talking." He sat across from me, his flannel shirt swapped for a plain tee that hugged his frame. "You looked like you needed it. And honestly, so did I." I raised an eyebrow. "You? Mr. Cool and Collected." He laughed, but it was tinged with something heavier. "I've been collecting myself for years, Elliot. Doesn't mean I've got it all figured out." We talked for hours that morning, the conversation flowing like we'd known each other forever. He told me about his divorce, how he'd spent years hiding his attraction to men, afraid of what it meant for his life, his family. I told him about coming out, the fights with my parents, the loneliness that still crept in sometimes. It was raw, real, like we were peeling back layers we'd both kept hidden. By the time Marcus got back, Nathan and I were laughing over a story about his failed attempt at woodworking in high school. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You two bonding without me? Rude." I grinned, but my heart was racing. Nathan's eyes met mine, and for a moment, I thought he felt it too. The spark, the pull, the thing neither of us was ready to name. Over the next few weeks, I found excuses to stop by Marcus's house, helping with yard work, dropping off borrowed tools. Each time, Nathan was there, and our conversations grew deeper, more charged. One evening, while Marcus was out, Nathan invited me to stay for dinner. We cooked together, bumping shoulders in the cramped kitchen, stealing glances that lingered too long. After dinner, we sat in the backyard, the air cool and heavy with the scent of wildflowers. Nathan lit a fire pit, and we talked about everything. Dreams, fears, the lives we wanted but were too scared to chase. When the conversation lulled, he looked at me, his voice barely above a whisper. "Elliot, I've spent my whole life playing it safe. I don't want to do that anymore." My heart pounded. "What are you saying?" He reached for my hand, his touch warm and steady. "I'm saying I feel something with you. Something I haven't felt in a long time. And it scares the hell out of me, but I don't want to run from it." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. This was Marcus's dad, my best friend's dad. But the way Nathan looked at me, the way he saw me, made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. I squeezed his hand. I'm scared too, but I'm here. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of stolen moments. Late-night talks, quiet walks, a kiss by the river that felt like the world stopping. But the weight of it all hung over us. Marcus didn't know, and the guilt was eating me alive. Nathan felt it too, but neither of us could stop. It was like we'd been starving for something real, and now that we'd found it, letting go wasn't an option. One night, Marcus caught us. We were in the backyard, dancing to some old jazz record, too caught up in each other to notice him standing there. His face was a mix of shock and betrayal. Elliot? Dad? What the hell is this? I froze, my heart in my throat. Nathan stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Marcus, we need to talk. The conversation was brutal. Marcus was angry, hurt, confused. He didn't understand how this happened, how his best friend and his dad could fall for each other. I tried to explain, but every word felt like a betrayal. Nathan took the brunt of it, telling Marcus he'd never meant to hurt him, that this wasn't planned, that it just happened. Marcus stormed out, and the silence that followed was deafening. Nathan sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I messed this up, Elliot. I should have known better. I sat beside him, my voice shaky. We both should have, but I don't regret it. Not you. Not us. He looked at me, his eyes red. You mean that? More than anything. It took time, weeks of awkward silences, tense conversations, and painful honesty. Marcus didn't forgive us right away, but he started to listen. He saw how much we cared, how real this was. Slowly, he came around, not because it was easy, but because he loved us both. Nathan and I built something new, something honest. We faced the whispers in town, the raised eyebrows, the judgment. But every time I doubted, Nathan was there, his hand in mine, reminding me we were worth it. And in the end, we found a family, not perfect, but ours. Marcus threw a party for his 26th birthday, and this time I didn't miss it. I stood by Nathan's side, our fingers intertwined, as Marcus raised a glass to us, a smile breaking through. To love, he said, even when it's messy. And as the music played, I looked at Nathan, my heart full. I'd missed my friend's party that night, but I'd found something I never expected. Someone who made me feel like the real me had finally shown up.